There we go. I ended up with the camera turned the wrong way and couldn't figure out how to turn it back around. Anyway, starting out this reading this morning, before I get started, if anybody wants to be able to donate or purchase a question, you can find my Cash App, PayPal, Amazon wish list, and my P.O. box all in the description box below. And thank you to anybody who does anything like that. So, let's get started and see what our guides want to talk about today. You know what? I should have brought my picture messages over here. Everything's kind of in a mess because I had to move my trailer last night, which if you guys have been following that, I did get my trailer moved at least. So there's that, and everything's kind of in a big mess because we're getting everything moved. So let's see what messages our guides want to talk about today. I got all kinds of new picture ones in here, so I figured it would be a good time to pull some of them out. Although we're probably going to end up with mostly older ones in there. Let's see. There's definitely a lot of surprises coming for you. There's a lot of shocks that are going to be coming out. A lot of emotions that are going to be being revealed. That is a seahorse mermaid. And seahorses, the symbolism of seahorses is very much to do with a very committed partner, things like that. Also, the male seahorses take on a lot of roles of what we would consider feminine qualities, where the female seahorses take on the roles of what we would consider masculine qualities. So it could definitely be a situation like that as well, where the roles are kind of reversed a little bit, where the feminine in this situation could be a bit more masculine and the masculine in this situation could be a bit more feminine. The first thing that popped in my mind when I saw that girl singing and the open door was Love is an Open Door. That song's been popping into my mind a lot the last couple days. Love is an open door. And you know what completely ruined that song? The asshole that was singing with her. That's what ruined that song. If it wasn't for that guy, that song would be like the best song ever. Vigilante justice. With a computer. Sagittarius. Flowers. Ooh. And thinking of writing something. So somebody could be thinking of writing a story of some sort. Somebody could actually even be writing a story of some sort. Somebody could be trying to get revenge in some sort of way by exposing something about someone. Maybe even something that someone does when they're online, or something that someone did in general. There's definitely an energy of being able to be seen, being able to be heard, being able to be in the spotlight, standing out very much. Make sure that when you are going to stand out, you are not doing it at anybody else's expense. There could be some flowers getting ready to be coming into somebody as well. There's definitely a love offer of some sort getting ready to be made to somebody. And I watched another Cinderella story recently, and the part where Dominique is bugging him constantly to do a duet with her, and he keeps telling her no, and then he does a duet with her stepdaughter is coming to mind as well. So this could be something where somebody is choosing you over somebody else, somebody that's very shallow, something along those lines. And I swear every time I see this one, all it makes me think of is the hanging tree. And I'm kind of a little bit I'm kind of a little bit sick this morning, so I'm probably not going to be singing quite as much as normal. Because, yeah, it would come out sounding like this. Are you coming to the tree where they strung up a man, they say, who murdered three? Strange things did happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Hi, Cindy. Nice to see you. So definitely some sort of open door is coming up in front of you. You're going to be very surprised by this open door because it may be something that you thought was closed and done forever. It could even be that somebody else has decided they don't like whatever's been happening to you, and they are going to make a move to make sure that everything is exposed because they have seen and noticed the things that have been going on. An important call or message will be coming in soon. Make sure that you stand your ground, but be accepting of the positions of others around you as well. Leave aggression out of this conversation. So you're being asked to be very patient. You're being asked to really think before you speak and to respond instead of reacting to the situation that's going to be going on. There definitely could be something that has happened that's going to blow you away. I mean, you might have had some sort of intuitive nudges about this, but it's going to be something that just catches you off guard that you were actually right in this situation. You are an amazing person. Watching what you have become makes me so proud. Keep going. Don't let others knock you off your path. You have worked too hard for it. Sorry if I wasn't as supportive before, but I know now why this is so important to you. And I know that you can do it. Happy Thanksgiving. Keep being grateful. It looks good on you. So, for some of you, this may not be until November that you actually end up hearing from this person. So it may be a couple months away. And for others of you, this could be a message from someone who passed away, that maybe Thanksgiving was an important day to you guys, or holidays in general could have been very important to you guys. This may have been somebody that you spent holidays with when you had nobody else around that is now on the other side. That wants to let you know that they are very proud of you, and they may not have seen before why what you were doing was so important to you, but they do now. Somebody definitely knows why what you're doing is important to you. They may even be working on something themselves that is equally important now, where in the past they may not have been doing anything like that, and you could have actually inspired this person to start working on something that meant something to them instead of just wasting their time. Thank you, beautiful. I really appreciate it, and you're very welcome. I'm glad you caught me live too. I actually, these are my favorite sessions probably because it's just so random, and what comes up and what comes out instead of being so structured into what a specific question has. So I really enjoy these ones. I make money quickly and easily. As life flows, I am unaffected by the ebbs. Others are very giving and generous with me without expecting anything in return. Energy flows through me and all around me. I've been very giving and generous with others without expecting anything, which is why that energy comes back to me. Negative energy is repelled by me. When I speak, people listen. My channel is growing every day. People love my videos and share them. More subscribers come in every day. So much ad revenue. My singing is loved. I sing with confidence and with beauty. I am not evil for using my natural gifts. My gifts are beautiful and good. Spells flow easily and freely without guilt or shame. Quitting bad habits gets easier every day. I don't want it anymore. I only want what's best for me. Someone who wants to go the distance. My heart is free of the past. So, being able to write down affirmations like this is something that is going to help you very much too. And I love the fact that that came out with it. Being able to write down the affirmations of the things that you want to produce into your life is very effective with manifestation, especially when you visualize those things coming in as well. Using your imagination is going to be something that's going to be very helpful in this. Know that you are loved. So, if you are feeling unloved, and if you are feeling alone, take the time out to really stop and think about some of the things that people in your life have done to show that they love you, even if they have a different love language than you do. There's different ways that people show that they love on a regular basis. And you can also write down some affirmations for that as well. I am loved and I see love around me every day. When people do things to show me appreciation, love, and care, I notice those things. I appreciate those things and I am grateful for those things. I also make sure to let others know that I love them through my words and my actions as well. And really bringing those energies into your life is going to create a dramatic distant difference for you. Embrace the flow of life. Being able to see the truth, being able to connect to your emotions as well, and being able to once again go with the ebb and flow of life without worrying so much about whether or not things are lining up to your expectations and how you feel that they should be able to or they should be coming out. Instead, just surrendering and allowing yourself to go with the flow and be present for every moment, allowing yourself to really fully feel everything that's going on around you on a regular basis and accepting it as the way things are, and they are this way for a reason. Stop scratching on everything. My cat is scratching on everything this morning. She really, when I'm doing videos, she gets a little extra. Just a bit. So, you've definitely been working extremely hard on something. You may have even pulled your time, your energy, and everything else away from people. And this could be part of the reason why you're feeling alone. Maybe you've just taken a little bit too much time alone. Sometimes when we go into that hermit mode and we go to take care of ourselves and kind of look into things of the past. Hi, Sigma. When we take that trip into ourselves to really delve into what's going on with us and to figure things out, and sometimes we end up taking a little bit too much time away, and it makes us feel like there's nobody there that cares, or it makes us feel like we don't have anybody in our lives. And then we're like, wait a minute. I have people in my life. I just haven't been going out and connecting with those people. So getting back out there and connecting with those people again, taking that leap of faith, not worrying so much. Sometimes it can create that social anxiety again as well. And you can start getting that feeling of not being sure about what to say or what to do, or if you are even welcome where you're going because you've been gone for so long. And there could even be some negative energy or vibes from people because they're like, how dare you be gone for a while and then come back like nothing ever happened. And you know what? Sometimes people just need some time and space away, and that's okay. And you've been working really hard. You've been taking care of things. You've been really delving into yourself to see why things are happening the way they're happening. And now it's time to really take that leap of faith to jump out there and get back out there and know that your wings will still carry you. It's kind of like I was talking about with somebody the other day, that a lot of times when you stop doing things, you kind of forget how to do them. Like, say, if you draw a lot and you don't draw for years, it'll come back quicker when you start doing it again, but it will not be as good as when you stopped when you first start. It's the same thing with that. Sometimes it just takes a minute to get back into the flow of things. Although what's really weird is when it comes to bike riding, I had to actually learn how to ride a bike twice when I was a kid because there was a couple years where I didn't have one. Mine broke and it was like 3 years before I had another one. And I think I was like 8 when I got the new one. And I actually had to learn how to ride a bike again. But as an adult, I haven't ridden a bike in like 5 years. But if I got on a bike today, I'd be able to ride it with no problem, because last time I got on a bike, I hadn't ridden a bike in like 8 years and I was still able to ride it just fine. So sometimes those skills are just there and they're waiting for you to pull them back out and use them. Because sometimes those skills never really go away. And sometimes they do take a little bit of work to get them back to the level that they were at before. So somebody just sent me $10. I'm pretty sure for a question. Throw your question down below and we'll get it answered. Do 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 do. I really, I do that a lot where I like to make a lot of noises in between things. So, let's see what else. This was actually written by somebody that I was helping to work through a lot of things, and she was writing down some things that she felt like she had learned from what we were talking about. Tips of taming your temper. Think before you speak. It's easy to say what you will regret later on. Take a few moments to collect your thoughts before saying anything. Allow others involved to do the same thing. Once calm, express your anger. As soon as you have a clear thinking process, express your frustrations in an assertive but non-confrontational way. State your concerns and needs clearly and directly without hurting others or trying to control them. And you know what? I'm really glad that when it came to telling this person what I needed to tell them, I did exactly that, because I really did not want to hurt her any more than she was already hurting, but I really could not have her in my life anymore at that point. And I pretty much just let her know that, you know, when you have people in your life that are showing that they care for you, that are there for you regularly, and that are constantly your rock, why don't you give them the time and attention that you're giving to all these people who don't give a flying fuck around about you, that you're running around chasing after, while you're ignoring the ones that actually love you? Because that happens so much in this world. We get so stuck and caught up on one person that we forget that there are people right there that love us, that care about us. That especially is true because people think that you can't have intimate connections with anybody. Oh, thank you, Joey. That was really appreciated. I appreciate that. Being able to... I lost where I was. Oh, yeah. People will tell you that you're not allowed to have intimate relationships with anybody other than your partner. They're full of fucking shit. They will tell you it's cheating to talk to other people about your problems. They will tell you it's cheating to form an emotional connection or bond with other people outside of your relationship. That's not fucking cheating. That's called having friends. That's called not being in a codependent relationship, because in a codependent relationship, you can't have anybody else. In a non-codependent relationship where everybody is allowed their freedom, you're allowed to have friends. You're allowed to talk to other people. You're allowed to have a support group and network without somebody feeling like you're cheating on them. That's not cheating. To me, cheating is running around with and having sex with other people, having an actual relationship with other people while you're in a relationship. Not just having a friendship with people. I don't care if it's the opposite sex or not, because the majority of my friends a lot of times end up being male. And it really sucks being female and trying to do that, but I do have a few female friends, but a lot of my friends are male friends. And whoever ends up being with me is going to have to be strong enough. Are you strong enough to be my man? Because you know what? I am not going to be anybody's fucking little puppy dog that is trained to remain right at their heel and isn't allowed to talk to anybody else. And that's the way you should be going into a relationship too, is I am my own independent person, and I had these friends before I came into this connection, so I should be allowed to have friends after I come into this connection. This rough patch has been hard to go through. Know that you got this and it will turn around. Soon things will be looking up. Look around. What do you see? Problems may be everywhere, but solutions are too. So is a lot to be grateful for. Water it and fertilize your lawn, making it green. It's hard to do so with so much going on, but it's so worth it. The better that you feel, the better that you do. So do better for you. You can do better with other things too. So as you take the time to take care of you, to water your own lawn, to really pour into you and the value that you offer to this world, so much more is going to be coming into you from the outside as well. because everybody wants to play in a green lawn, right? How many people want to play in a lawn that's yellow and brown and dying and pokey? Nobody wants to play in that lawn. But when you're taking care of yourself, you're putting into you. You are really allowing yourself to do right by you. You're not only doing those things for you, you're also showing other people what you expect in any kind of connection with them as well. I think they just turned on this train over here. I hope that's not too loud. I don't know why. It's not like this train moves. Hi, Maple 7. The attacks coming your way are blessings in disguise. They are causing you to transform in beautiful ways. They may think that it will stop you, but it won't. You are highly protected, so have no fear. Some hardships and trials are needed in life. You got this. Pray and have faith that you are not alone. So, in the last week and a half or so, there's been so much going on collectively. As far as the people trying to stop your progress or trying to put a wrench in things. And let me tell you, it's been going on over here too. But it doesn't matter what they throw at you, because you are not going to give up. You're not going to give in. You're still going to continue working on what's important to you. And it's actually going to give you that extra oomph that you need to continue working on these things, to really feel good about yourself and to really feel good about what you're creating, to feel like you are going to do this regardless of what is coming at you. It's going to give you that fight that you need. The song that's coming to mind is it's called It's Keeping Me Alive. I think it's just Keeping Me Alive. Basically, they're talking about how the anger is keeping them alive. It's causing them to continue, and it's keeping them on track and keeping them from getting distracted. Anger is a very important emotion. I discussed this in a post I made recently. Depending on how you use it, depends on whether or not it's a good or bad emotion. The emotion itself is not good or bad. Anger is something that can drive so many amazing changes in this world. And right now, I feel like a lot of anger inside of you is causing a lot of changes for the better for you and for your life. Three of Swords. Six of Wands. Maybe even a lot of pain as well. Pain, heartbreak, hurt, sadness, loss. Those are important things too. Especially when it comes to dealing with disrespect from others or people that are treating us in ways that are not so good. And really being able to realize from that situation, that loss, that pain, that hurt, that grieving, from people walking away or from people treating you in despicable ways or really trying to destroy what you have going on, people trying to put you in a state of sadness, loss, hurt, pain, remorse. That is causing you to see just how strong you are. It's causing you to want to overcome. It's causing you to want to make it through whatever obstacles come your way. It's giving you a lot of passion, a lot of drive, a lot of motivation to succeed. And it's also causing you to see just how much you are worth, just how valuable you are. Your time, your energy, your care, your love, your loyalty, your solidity, your honesty, your integrity, things like that. It is causing you to stand up for yourself. It's causing you to stand your ground. It's causing you to respect yourself and to demand that respect from others. And to move away from the situation if these people do not have that respect to give. So you are definitely working at creating a much better life for yourself by creating a much better feeling of you inside of you. Let two become one. Observe in silence. So, whatever situation you're going through right now is causing you to pull back and to look at things, examine things, to really delve into why things are playing out how they are, what you can do differently, what needs to be addressed, where people may be treating you in ways that you are not liking, and what you can do about it. It's also causing you to speak up and speak out when you need to. And really, letting two become one can be a very difficult process. It's also a process of letting two become one while still being two. Because you don't want to lose your identity in another person. When you lose your identity in another person, it can really cause so many things in your life to fall apart if that other person isn't around. No, my name starts with a D. If you check out my other channel, D's StoryTime, my name is actually on there because it has all my poems on there, so I have my name on there as well. It's Danielle. Danielle Calabrese. It's actually technically Danielle Pierce, but you know what? I've decided that all my poems are going to be written under Danielle Calabrese now because that's my maiden name, and that's a way that I can make my dad's name live on. That's pretty cool. Maybe it's a synchronicity you needed in some way. It's time to trust. All the past was and is in the past. It's time to open up again. People have hurt you. Those that you love have hurt you. You've been through so much. Be patient with you, but don't use it as an excuse. You are strong and amazingly resilient. You have made it through so much, and you can make it through this too. Be brave and know that sometimes things work out so well it can make up for the past and show you why you had to wait for what is coming. So there is definitely a lot of times we can get so lost and caught up in what was taken away from us instead of realizing that this door was closed for a reason and now we need to finish closing it, because if we stand in this doorway, we aren't moving to the next door, but the next door could have something so amazing behind it that it makes you realize exactly why you had to close that door behind you. So it's time to open up again and time to really free yourself from the past, forgive and let go. If you're still worried about what karma they're getting, if you're still worried about what they're saying about you, if you're still worried about the things they did, if you're still constantly in that loop of thinking about it and ruminating on it, then you are not ready to be moving forward. So stopping and taking that time to examine those things and work through those things is going to be very beneficial for you so that you can continue this movement forward. You deserve so much better than you are dealing with right now. It's time to love you. Set some boundaries, cut off the connections that need to be with extremely disrespectful people. Eat right, sleep, and focus on your goals. Don't settle for something so bottom of the barrel when you could have something better. You are really worth far more than you give yourself credit for. Your dreams are not impossible. Your wishes are just aren't just impossible fantasies. You have them for a reason. Believe it and achieve it. Don't let others dictate your actions, and don't blame them if you don't take action. So, regardless of what anybody else thinks, you need to be taking action. And if you aren't taking action, you can't blame that other person for you not creating what you're wanting to create in your world. Someone recently was trying to tell me that I was enabling them because I wasn't trying to control them. It's not enabling somebody to not try to control them, to love them regardless of what they're doing. I told them my opinions and how I felt about what they were doing and what I thought they should be doing. But it's up to them on whether or not they want to be doing the healthy things for their life. And I'm not going to control them. But they would like to use those things as an excuse to claim that you're the one enabling them. It's the same thing when you decide not to go after your dreams, when you decide not to work on the things that you feel like you should be working on, when you decide that, oh, this person said that this would never work out, so I'm just going to do something else. And then later on, oh, it was all this person's fault because they told me nothing would ever be accomplished if I went that way, so I just decided to do something else. Well, you decided to do something else. It's not that person's fault that you decided to do something else, because you can create something in your life with no support at all. I've done a lot of that myself. No support is in some ways a blessing because you're having to fight against the naysayers, which gives you that drive. Never block the doorway. See, standing in the old doorway is just as bad as blocking the new doorway. Blocking that new doorway, putting your foot in front of it and saying, I'm not going to walk through any other doorway ever again because that last doorway was just too painful and I don't want to do this again. That's blocking that new doorway. So don't block the new doorway. What comes in should flow freely, as with what flows out. Be at peace with the way that things are and live in the moment. You are learning to be at peace with the natural movements of life. Releasing control in favor of surrender. Let your guard down and just relax, knowing our mother and father have your back. You are watched over and the strength of your ancestors are behind you, starting with the first original ancestors we all share. Your steady faith, persistence, dedication, and commitment are working in your favor. Your strength is being shown and highlighted at this time to you and to others. Now the hard times will soon be over, and you will see the beauty around you in this struggle. Ooh, Beauty in the Struggle is such a great movie, and it's actually on YouTube as well. I think it's Beauty in the Struggle. You will rise from the ashes once again in no time. You are beautiful, just as you are. No need to be perfect. Pink, perfect. So, no matter what anybody else thinks of you, I believe you're perfect, exactly as you are. You should believe you're perfect exactly as you are as well. And perfect doesn't mean you have no flaws. I'm flawless, and by that I mean I'm perfectly flawed. There's also a song called I'm Flawless. Great song. It is definitely so hard to release that control. Our society is very sadly lacking community. I agree. There's actually somebody that was ex-military I was talking to recently, and he's like, it's so different in this world because in that world, everyone had your back. Everywhere you went, everyone had your back and you had their back. It was a very close connection. Everybody was like family. And here, it's like everybody is attacking each other everywhere you turn, and it's just a completely different feeling. It is. It's very hard to deal with that. And at the same time, as much as we want people around, we don't need people around. We are never alone. And if you really want community, I was thinking about this the other day. All the people that are watching my channel and that are commenting on there, you guys should really start commenting on each other's comments and talking to each other, getting to know each other, because you guys could really be each other's support networks. You guys are very similar. If you all resonate with me, then you all resonate with each other, and maybe you can make some of the best friends you could ever have by connecting to some of those people. The world has not changed. The world is, you know what, the world has changed. It's always changing. Everything's always changing. But here's the thing. Everybody romanticizes the past. The fucking past was evil and disgusting and despicable. There are so many nasty, awful, horrible things that happened in the past. Who the hell would want to go back there? Not me. I wouldn't want to go back there. I wouldn't want to go back 60 years even. I probably would have been stoned in the fucking street for being myself 60 years ago. There's no way I'd want to go back then, let alone if I was African American 60 years ago. That would be fucking awful. Let alone 100 years ago. Think about that. Think about 1,500 years ago, where little children were taken off the street and taken home to be sex slaves for the rich and wealthy, and nobody gave a flying fuck about it. And yes, some of that happens today. Of course it does. But not like it used to. And people actually care about it. People are outraged when they find out about things like that. People are ready to step up and save the children that are being hurt in those situations. People are ready to step up and say, don't you ever call that person a nigger again. Not in front of me. Because that's not going to fucking fly here. I don't ever want to hear that come out of your fucking mouth again. They're not just going to look the other way. This world is fucking amazing today compared to what it used to be, but everybody wants to glorify the past and say that today the world's just evil and it's going to hell in a handbasket. They're full of shit. Consciousness since the beginning of time has been spiraling upward, and it's going to continue spiraling upward. It's not going to go down the drain all of a sudden. Ever since cavemen, think about cavemen. There is so much more empathy these days, so much more care, so much more consciousness. And that is very hard to deal with because there is still a lot of the other things as well. But there's always going to be both good and bad. And you can't have good without bad. You wouldn't even appreciate it. You wouldn't notice it. You wouldn't be happy with it. It would be fucking boring if it was all good all day, all the time. I got very passionate for a minute. But that's a very passionate topic of mine. Because I've listened to so many Christians talking about how the world's getting so evil and disgusting and it's all gonna burn in hell and bleh. Progress is somewhat slow moving, and then there's those times where it gets really quick. It's like the 60s. Everybody talks about how awful the 60s was. It was so horrible, and oh, protesting should be illegal. Oh, really? Protesting should be illegal. If it wasn't for the protesting of the 60s, then we would not have the freedoms that we have today in this country and a lot of the other countries as well. We would not have the equality that we have. We would not have been able to get rid of some of the abuses of power going on in our police, which is what people are fighting yet again today because it has started up again. Sometimes you have to fight the same battles again because they try to take that power back in a very abusive way. I think a lot of it is we're different and we have awakened to a lot. And there's still a lot of people that are in a slumber right now. So you might be very nervous of the changes that are coming in. There might be a little bit of, thank you so much, whoever just sent that. Thank you for that. You might be feeling very anxious. Your nerves might be a little bit frayed. You might be really worried about bringing these new changes that you have found inside of yourself out into the world and exposing you for who you are. And being your authentic self is going to create so many changes and ripple effects around you. Being that beautiful version of you and being able to let go of whether or not other people are following you. Because when you're sitting and talking to somebody, the best example I have, I used to sit and talk to my father-in-law a lot. Nobody else talked to him because everybody hated him. They could not stand a lot of the things that he said. Right after this story, I will get to your question. They couldn't stand the things that he said. He was fairly racist. He was also very self-righteous, very Christian, and he kind of put a very bad name on Christianity. And he just was, it was constant. And so one day we're having a talk, and he's talking about how people who steal are just awful, and he's talking about in the Bible and people who steal and on and on and on. And I was like, well, here's a good question for you. So a mother that goes into a store and is stealing food for her baby, and she doesn't get caught, or if she does get caught, they pay for the food for her baby. I was like, do you think that maybe God had a part in that? Maybe he was watching over her. Maybe he was taking care of her as she was taking care of the beautiful, innocent life that he placed in her hands to take care of herself. And she was doing whatever she had to make sure to take care of that life. Do you think maybe that's why those things happened the way that they did? And he actually agreed with me. But it's because I wasn't sitting there calling him a piece of shit and getting really defensive about my position. But I was just, hey, maybe I can enlighten you as to why things happened the way they did. And maybe she's not as evil as you think she is. You can make a lot more changes through that subtle energy and through that I'm going to lead by example energy than you can by trying to force things down someone's throat any day, which is also why it's so important not to let anybody convince you that you enabled them to live the way that they were living simply because you chose not to force them to live another way. That's on them. It's not on you. Don't let them project their own blame onto you by blaming you and cause you to feel like you need to act in a different way or that you need to start controlling people and forcing your beliefs and opinions on people, because you don't need to do that. That's not how you make the biggest changes in this world. The biggest changes in this world are made through subtlety, through being able to discuss things rationally, through being able to take a deep breath and not allowing others to ruffle your feathers or trigger you into your pain from the past coming up, because that does not create changes. That creates resentments. That creates arguments. That creates just everybody on a different page instead of the same page. Taking a walk at night may really help you to be able to open up to your intuition and your instincts better as well, and to bring you a lot of peace and calm and clarity. There's not many people out at night, so there's not much energies out at night. And so you're able to really be in your own energy. Call upon the moon for that clarity, that guidance, that intuition that you're looking for, and say thank you when you do. So, Margaret, how do you get her out? I think you're talking about your niece. I'm pretty sure you're talking about your niece because of what we talked about before. I'm teaching all of those who have tried to throw me under the bus in the past. They hurt me and bruised me, but I have refused to let them break me. I have risen up time and time again, and I have taken the high road. They all keep coming back. Some have learned their lessons, others have not. But I will do it again because that is love. Some will be barred from my life and loved from a distance. Others will be given a chance for redemption. Someone has to make that choice, and I choose to. Intuition guides my actions, the love from my heart, and logic as well. I am in balance, and my world around me follows suit. Sometimes they have to make their own choices is the first thing that popped into my head with reading this and what you said. Sometimes they have to make their own choices. It's been really hard to allow my daughters to make their own choices, but I can't force them, because me trying to force them, or me trying to control them, or me trying to push them to do anything different is only causing the opposite. But living my life the way that I feel like I should be living it, and showing them how to do those things in their life, how to walk away from the abusive people, and that you're doing so much better as you have let go of those people, is something that really helps. Because then they realize, hey, wait a second, this person's not all sad and miserable and alone simply because they walked away from the abuse. This person's doing really good because they walked away from the abuse. People may have tried to blame this person for those things, but this person is doing really good now. So this person must be doing something right. Nourish the soul and know that you belong. Make sure that you offer an open door for her. Love is an open door. A door that she can come through and that she can leave. A place that she can come and then she can go back to there. And eventually she will start to see the differences in the places that she's in, and how good it feels to be in one place where it doesn't in the other place. Leaving that open door for her is going to be something that's very important, and not spending your time downgrading her mother or what she's going through, but listening to what she's going through and letting her know that it is not okay for other people to be treating her that way, and that it is okay to walk away from people when they are treating her that way. Your speaking is going to be very important in this as well. Exactly. Everyone has their own free will, and they have to learn those lessons. And we wish that we could learn them for them. We wish that we could fast track it, but everyone has to learn in their own time. And some people are more stubborn than other people. My children are fucking the most stubborn kids on the planet. They really are. They're very, very, very stubborn. And it comes from me. They come by it naturally. I'm an extremely stubborn person. My mom always loved to tell me when I was younger that I like to do things the hard way, everything the hard way. And yeah, there are a lot of things that I like to do the hard way, but you know what? I learn a lot more that way. So you could definitely be dealing with a lot of sadness right now. Know that luck is on your side and blessings are raining down. Make sure that you allow yourself to cry and to let it out. Pray. Pray and ask for peace. Ask for the strength to be able to let this go until it's time to pick it up again. Because if you're able and willing to let it go until it's time, then when she comes back around again and when you are able to speak to her again, you don't end up going into a rage, or you don't end up saying things that you regret. Instead, you end up saying the things that really need to be said. You might actually end up running into her in some sort of business as well at some point. So make sure that you are taking care of you and focused on you and your goals and creating a better life for you. Because when she does come around again, your life will be looking better, and she will see that by walking away from that abuse, you are doing better. So she might be able to walk away from that abuse and do better too. Because right now she probably feels like there's nowhere she could turn, and anywhere she went would be worse than where she's at. Because generally when you're in those circumstances, that's how you feel, is that everywhere is going to be worse. There is no safe place in this world. And the only semi-safe place is the place that you're in right now. So definitely work on you and what you got going on, and take care of your goals and getting yourself out of that. Because right now you are not in a position to be able to take care of her. But if you work on you and your stuff, then you will be in a position to take care of her. If you let this be a distraction to you, then it will throw everything off to where you are not performing at the best of your capabilities, and your sister wins. Do not let her win in that way. I feel like she's going to have to get herself out, is what Spirit is telling you. And you're going to have to be there waiting and ready with open arms and a safe and comfortable place for her to go when she does, so that she feels like she can be out and she has the support she needs to do that. So let's see what other messages our guides have today. I really hope that that helps you find peace on that. It would be nice if her dad got her out, definitely. But honestly, even if her dad tried, she would still have to want to get out. And my dad, when I was younger, I was being molested for 3 years, from 10 to 13, by my mom's boyfriend. And my dad was very in and out when I was younger. But when I was 10 years old, he was talking about having me come up and visit him for the summer. And my mom told me, you tell him if he can get a job and a place and he can keep those things until summer, you can go and see him and you can spend the summer with him. He kept those things for 3 years. Every year that I was being molested, he had a place for me to go every summer. And I went down there and saw him. So I got to get away from it. I got a vacation from it. Every summer, at the beginning of the summer, I was wanting to stay there. By the end of the summer, I was wanting to go home because it was my home. My mom was there. My younger sister was there. My younger brother was there. I needed to take care of them. I needed to be there. And, you know, they have to want to leave too. That's what it comes down to. Because otherwise, they're going to hate the people who saved them anyway. They're not going to feel like they saved them. They're going to feel like they forced them to leave a place that they loved with a person that they loved. And if anything happened to that person that they loved, that they felt like they had to be there to take care of, they're going to be even more upset. Someone is looking for a come up. Don't let others take advantage of what you have to offer. Hobosexual. Someone who gets in relationships for the sole purpose of a place to stay. As Virgos generally think, trust but verify. Usually fits Cancers as well. Check the sources, ask the questions. Don't allow them to pull the wool over your eyes. Remember as well that some like to cause problems where there are none. Check your sources too. A lot have said similar about me, but I'm a demisexual and an empath. There is always love for all. So, when it comes to dealing with other people, if you feel like somebody's trying to take advantage of you, make sure that you are checking. Make sure that you are looking at the situation in a more detached way. And also, if people are talking about you being someone who takes advantage of others, don't allow that to bother you, because you know who you are. There's a lot of people who are going to talk trash, and some people might even put it into your ear that people are saying these things when nobody's really saying these things because they are looking to get some sort of benefit out of it, like trying to make you isolated away from other people because they want you to feel like everyone's out to get you or attack you, so that you feel like you don't have anybody and you have to go crawling to them. Prayers do protect children, and even if something bad did happen, everything happens the way that it's meant to happen. And yes, it does suck when people get hurt or when people die, God forbid, or anything like that. But for one thing, people have lost sight these days of the immortal soul. Not the soul that we have on this earth, not our life on this earth, but the fact that we continue living after that. There are so many people that are afraid of death, and I have a really hard time wrapping my mind around it because I've never really been afraid of death. I told my mom when she was whining about me having people over during COVID, they were people that I was working with, people that needed that support, people that would have gone fucking crazy and off the deep end if they would have been trapped in their house alone. And you know what? I would much rather open my door to them and have them at my place and know that they're safe and that their mental health is doing good than to have them locked away like that. And as I told her, if I die, fucking celebrate that shit because I went home. Maybe she will speak up. It would be very nice if she found that voice. You found your voice. And all you can continue to do is show her how to do that. It makes you feel so codependent on them. Yes, it does. And it really, it makes you feel like there is no way out and like nobody would ever love you. And they do all those things to isolate you. They make you feel like everybody's against you and everybody has talked trash about you, or everybody hates you in some sort of way. They even a lot of times go to those people and tell those people different stories so that those people are on their side. You're welcome, Cindy. Thank you guys for being here. You make the conversation a lot more interesting when you guys are commenting too, by the way. So don't ever feel like you're interrupting me. It it ends up making things go all kinds of crazy, but that's the messages that needed to come out at that time too then. A powerfully big ego it must take for humans to think that they are the only planet out of all the vast galaxies that could have life. Hi, Moonlight. I'm doing good. How are you doing? You are on time. We are still here for another about 45 minutes-ish. It's the same ego that drives them to believe that animals are just dumb beasts, or children don't deserve the same respect that adults do. There is a lot of ego in this world, and it affects this world very much. Try not to let it guide your actions. It takes big pride to cling to being right, even when proven wrong. It also takes a fear of abandonment or punishment. They will lie continuously and hold on for dear life. It's exactly why beating kids has never worked out, but sitting down and talking to them and admitting that you have done that, you have been there, but that still doesn't make it okay, is a much better option, but people just won't believe that because of ego. Sometimes you have learned that the hard way. It's amazing what a respectable conversation or a respectful conversation can do for you and for them. So, the respectful conversations that you have had with other people that have really hit the heart of the matter is something that will leave a very long-lasting impact. They will remember this for a very long time. And those things are going to remind them every time they think there isn't hope, every time they think this is the only way the world can work, every time they think that maybe their parent is right in doing the things that they're doing, or whatever the case may be, they're going to remember that you were the one that was able to sit down and talk to them, that you were the one that was able to treat them with respect, and that respect is the way to go. It's amazing the giant size ego on some humans, and that really is where everybody's like, oh, you're crazy thinking that aliens exist. There's fucking numerous galaxies. We have found planets at this point that have water and vegetation on them. Vegetation is life. So if you want to get technical, even just that vegetation is alien life. But you don't believe that there's aliens on that planet, that there's some other life form living on that planet besides just the vegetation and the water? Oh no, there definitely is. But that's ego. Ego tells humans that they are the only ones. Ego tells humans that they're the only important thing. Ego tells humans that destroying the earth is okay. It tells humans that killing all the animals off is okay. That beating animals is okay. That beating children is okay. That abusing things that are weaker than you is okay because they're weaker than you. Sadly, that all boils down to ego. Crow. So glad that you are excited to be alive today. That is a good feeling to be in. Honestly, Earth can be heaven or it can be hell, depending on how you look at it and depending on your perspective, depending on what you decide to focus on. Because there's always good and bad. There's a lot of good in this world, a lot more good in this world than people want to acknowledge or appreciate. And being grateful for that good helps to spread that good and helps it to grow. Because when we're in a state of feeling like the entire world is evil, we become evil. Whether we like it or not, we do. We become self-righteous. We become cruel towards those that we think are evil. Instead of being the light in the dark for people who are hopeless and hurt and in despair, we shut off that light. Because who knows what that person will do to us if we shine a light on them. Crow. Prophecy, good luck, magic, wisdom, intelligence, good memory, open-minded, intuitive, honest, adaptable, strong-willed, remembers and repays all help that was received, healing, communication, divine law, social connection, teacher of shamanism, curiosity about life's mysteries, wisdom in speech, and Native American beliefs. I agree. Don't give up on her, but at the same time, being able to let the situation go is very important for it. And it's not to say that you forget about them or that you aren't doing your best, but sometimes doing your best for them is doing your best for you. Because sometimes you're meant to take that separate journey so that you can really take care of what you need to. If you had her with you right now, it would be extremely hard. It would be far harder than it is right now. And maybe that's part of the reason that you need to be separate from her right now, is so that you can take care of yourself and get yourself on stable ground so that she has a good place to go at the end of it. So definitely remember that all the good things that you put out there come back to you, and open your arms and be receptive to all the good coming into you, because you have done a lot of good for other people and that good comes back. Crocodile, able to wait patiently. I bet it is. It is definitely so hard to leave children in a position like that. It's extremely hard. I babysat a lot of addicts kids when I was younger. A lot of them. I was babysitting from 10 on, my own siblings and everyone else's. And I would babysit and babysit and babysit. They'd rack up about $300 that they owe me, and then my mom would yell at them and they'd never come back, and I'd never see their kids again, and their kids were left with them. These were severely emotionally underdeveloped children that did not have the skills that most children at their age do. Some of them couldn't talk at 4 years old, things like that. And they were starting to talk. They were learning their ABCs. They were learning their colors. They were coloring and having fun. And they were listening to me, even though all they usually did was scream and cry and throw fits because they had no way of communicating and nobody ever communicated with them. But I had to walk away from them because I couldn't allow that to destroy me. I had to be able to be there for the other kids. And sometimes you're just a shining light for a moment in a child's life. And that's all it's meant to be. And sometimes it's meant to be more. Informing the authorities is definitely something that is very good in that too. Calling DCFS and having them do a house check would be something very good for that as well. Although I will say that, you know, every time I've tried to do something like that in my life, they've never done a damn thing. With all the things I've had going on with the harassment, with people breaking into my trailer, with people, just all the nasty shit going on, the cops have never done a damn thing. Not a damn thing. When I was younger, there was a girl that lived across the way from us whose mom was beating on her on a regular basis. She had a black eye from it one day. I called DCFS and they didn't do a damn thing. They didn't even go check on her because I was a child. So who's going to listen to a child? But you're not a child anymore, so they may actually listen to you at DCFS. Definitely can move mountains. Let my people go. Deliver us from Prince of Egypt soundtrack is what just came to mind. Able to wait patiently for the right time to strike. Courage, honor, patience, speed when necessary, cunning, and the ability to conquer your fears. Great instinct, especially when it comes to survival. You conserve your energy when needed, and you can't conserve your energy if you're constantly in anxiety, if you're constantly worried, if you're constantly fretting, if you're not sleeping, if you're not eating, if you're not taking care of you, you are not taking care of your energy. So your energy is not there when it's needed. Do everything in your power to protect and save your energy. You can take care of your spirit because you know when it's unhealthy, and the body also suffers when it's unhealthy. True. And at the same time, I haven't reported anything recently to the cops because there's no point in it. And starting a social media campaign is definitely a good thing as well. Things like that can be very, very effective. That's also part of what I love about having this channel is everything is recorded. And if something happens to me, well, guess what? They know where to look and they know who wasn't doing their fucking jobs, which is the cops in this town. But the cops in this town are extremely dirty. This is a very, yeah. I've heard some really, really bad things about the cops in this town. And actually, my youngest daughter, strangely enough, said something to me about all the cops here being pedophiles. And I was like, what? I've never even talked to you about the things that people have told me about the cops here, but somehow you knew that all on your own. What we allow will continue, and at the same time, sometimes it takes more voice than one. Sometimes there's nothing that you can do but surrender and pray. And that's the whole thing. That's where ego comes in. When you think that you're the one who's responsible for it and you're the only one who can do anything about it, and sometimes there is absolutely nothing you can do in that moment except for pray and let it all go and allow your faith to be bigger than the problem at hand. Which means you have to pray and then let it go and release it. Find your peace. Work on your things. Don't let it distract you. Don't let it pull you down or weigh you down because you already know that it's taken care of because you asked. That's what faith is. Yes, and parental alienation is a very big thing. That's a lot of what my kids have been going through as well. I did hear of the Turpins. That story is extremely heartbreaking. And what's funny is it wouldn't have even taken people reporting it. It would have taken people stepping in and doing something. Going in there and just grabbing the fucking kids and walking out might have actually been a better way of going about it. Because, like I said, a lot of times when you report things, they don't do a fucking thing about it. Period. They just don't. Sometimes they do. But a lot of times they don't. There have been people who have reported people for certain things and they didn't do anything about it, and come to find out later there was massive horrific things going on that nobody did a damn thing about. Sometimes they definitely are, but I will say that I am extremely glad and happy and grateful to be growing up in this country and to be living in this country, because you know what? It's 10,000 times worse in a lot of places in this world than it is here. Fuck, just think about, every time I think about that, I think about Haiti and their dirt cookies that they sell and eat that have no nutritional value, but fill up the gaping hole in their stomach because they're so fucking hungry. So definitely I'm glad to be living here. They do need healthy adults to act and speak up. And you know what? I've been acting and speaking up for years, but nobody does anything about it. And there's only so much you can do. Kids need to speak up themselves too. They need to grow that voice, and the only way they can do that is if you lead the example and show them how, which is why I was telling her to lead the example and show them how. She's doing everything that she can, and she has nothing to feel guilty about. She is doing what she can, and we can only do so much as one person. The rest is up to the universe. The rest is up to prayer and faith. The rest is up to the people around us who we tell and who we let in on what's going on. Sometimes you can't do it all. Sometimes other people need to step up too. Having grace and dignity and being able to deal with this situation with patience and peace and integrity is going to be very important as well, because when you're running around screaming and acting crazy, nobody's going to listen to a fucking word you got to say. And that's also why you have to focus on you and taking care of you and really pulling your life together, because nobody's going to listen to you when your life is in shambles. They just aren't, because they're fucking assholes. And that person's just crazy. They're the crazy homeless person. Who cares what they have to say? And you know what? It's bullshit. It is bullshit. Who cares what this kid has to say because they're just a kid? It's bullshit. But that's the way people work. That's the way people think. That's the way the judgments have been pushed into their brain. Yes, and sharing your voice is so important, and it will make such a gigantic impact. And at the same time, sometimes it just takes time and patience and being able to be adaptable, flexible, and go with the flow. I figured it might not have been meant to be a question mark, but I really wasn't sure. Either way, I felt like it needed to be addressed. Because really, they got to learn how to find their own voice too. And the only way that they will find their voice is by watching you have yours. Because it doesn't matter what you do. The child can go in there and say, oh, this abuse isn't happening, or isn't going to tell them that the abuse is happening simply because they feel ashamed or guilty or scared or whatever the case may be. But if you've already showed them how to express their voice, then they're going to go in there and they're going to speak their truth. My kids are also very blunt, very honest, and the last couple of years, they've had a lot more lies going on and hidden things, but they're starting to realize how toxic that is, I feel like, because they were using the lies to their advantage like their dad does. And now they're realizing that it's really not to their advantage, and actually they're living a lot more toxically than they used to. And that I was doing things for their best good, not to just be their best friend. Slow and steady does win the race. And power is definitely in numbers a lot of times. Definitely those that judge are being judged usually by themselves. They're judging themselves more than they're judging anybody else in this world. So if you're having a judgment towards anybody, remember that. What are you judging you for? Because you're judging these other people. And yes, your sister is awful and horrible for the things that she's doing and the abuse she's causing in your niece's life. And at the same time, what did she go through to get there? What did you go through in your childhood? And if you haven't had a child yet and haven't had to face breaking those cycles, there's definitely no room to judge, but in general, we shouldn't be judging. At the same time, that doesn't mean that what she's doing is right, and it does not excuse the behaviors, and it does not mean that that child does not need to be taken out of harm's way. But what it does mean is that we are all children of our mother and father. Brighter than gold, Louis II. You are transforming every day. It has been a very changing time, but it is for your highest good. Sometimes the old ways of being or doing need to be changed to be able to move forward. Trust that you will rise up. You have what it takes, and a fire burns in your soul. There may be secrets that you are afraid to express. It is time to voice your distress, wants and needs, or your desires, your wants, and your needs. It's also time to recognize what is truly valuable to you and to create a new beginning through honesty, hope, peaceful thoughts, rest, reflection, self-care, and being able to release the outcome, believing that it's worth expressing yourself no matter what comes, and knowing that what you truly want wants you too. And also that comes down to, once again, being able to express yourself in a way that is not judging others, in a way that is a safe, comfortable space for them to be able to admit that maybe they were wrong. Not demonizing. Exactly. My mom, I love her to death. And you know what? She was severely abusive in my childhood, mentally and emotionally. She also came from physical abuse. Very, very large amounts of physical abuse. Emotional and mental comes right along with physical. And she didn't want to do the same thing to her kids, but she had no idea how to do it any other different way. And so that's where the mental and emotional abuse scaled up to a very large scale, because she didn't know how to do it any other way. She didn't know how to control her kids any other way, because that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be controlling your kids. You're not supposed to be, encouraging them to do the right things and being a support network and things like that. No, you're supposed to be making sure that they stay in line, because everybody else's judgment is on you if they don't. And it's just awful, some of the things that our parents went through. And that's where, everybody's like, oh, the world's so horrible today. No, our parents went through way worse than we did. And they were trying to do the best that they could with the tools that they had at their disposal at the time. That does not excuse their behavior. That doesn't mean that what they did to you was right. That doesn't mean that it hurt any less. But what it does mean is they were trying to love you. They just didn't know how. And that's what your sister's trying to do. She's trying to love her. She just doesn't know how. And it does suck. And it does suck that she could end up severely hurting her because of it. So, it does, because then she can't even seek the help that she needs. Judging it makes it worse, because she can't even seek the help that she needs, because then she would have to admit how disgusting of a person she is. And she already thinks she's enough of a disgusting person without everybody telling her she is all day, every day. But that doesn't mean that we should quit saying what needs to be said. It doesn't mean that we should just stand there and watch her do things that are awful. That's not okay either. My little brother at one point in time was saying something about, he was in a very low spot, a very dark spot. He was working at the mines where he lives, and it's a very toxic masculine environment. He had adopted a couple kittens that were running around that place, and he had been feeding them for a long time, and for like 6 months, and then somebody killed them. He was really in a very bad place at this point, but he's like, if there was a button that I could push that would kill all the adults in the world, I would do it. I would push that button and kill off every adult in this world, because the kids are the only ones who deserve to live. And what's really sad? There is actually some very evil kids too. There really is. Everybody thinks kids are just pure and innocent and blah, 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 blah. No, there are definitely some evil kids out there too, especially since they've already underwent severe abuse up to that point. So that's all they know is abuse and survival. It's not just adults that are in that energy at times, it's kids too. From what they learn. I just want to go with you everywhere. You are my favorite person. I get so sad sometimes and nervous too if I can't find you. You're my rock and I'm yours. Thank you for keeping me at your side whenever possible. I love when we snuggle too, and I feel so at peace in your arms. Every day is the best day when I'm with you. I wish that you would care for you as well as you do for me. And as you start to care for you as well as you do for others, you show them how to care for themselves in that same way. When you're sacrificing yourself for others, like you sacrificing yourself for your niece, you teach her to sacrifice herself for her mother. That's what you teach her. But when you pull your energy back and pull your energy away from things that are toxic for you, you teach her to do that same thing in her life. I think that we should allow that, but at the same time, we should definitely acknowledge what they did, period. Because in order to change, to really change, they actually have to face that mirror. They actually have to admit to what they did wrong. And they actually have to work to turn it around, which they won't do if they don't have to face it. But facing it is different than judging it. It really is. I don't know why this cop is sitting right behind me, but it's annoying. Haven't they already harassed enough? It's time to let go, to allow the past to be in the past. Closure or no closure. Do it for yourself so that your life can get back on track. It's not time to start letting in distractions. It's too close to fulfillment. Remove yourself from this situation. Have compassion, but detachment. Because you cannot control any of that. The only thing that you can control is what you are doing and how you are behaving. Basically, exactly the same thing I've been saying this whole time. It's that same message of you have to let it go. Sometimes things only get better when we are able to release them. Me too. Prayers that they all pull their heads out of their asses. That's where I'm at on that one. All the cops in my area that are abusing their power are exposed. Truths are revealed and evidence is found. I love that that came out right at the exact moment it did. No more harassment and no more hiding. They cannot run and they will face their judgment. The power struggle is now over. All the secrets in this small town are coming to light, whether they fucking like it or not. That's where this town is going to. Everything in this town tries to present itself as so perfect. It's basically like living in a narcissistic household, except for a town that way. Everything looks perfect from the outside, but when you actually dig underneath, there's so much more decay underneath. And that's the way a lot of abusive households are. Everything looks perfect from the outside, but underneath, it's just fucking decayed and rotting. Finally home to myself. There is no more shadow work to be done. Finally, this painful, hard-fought battle is won. I have overcome the past pain. I feel it wash over like a cleansing rain. Arms stretched out to the Most High. Gratitude for my ability to fly. Proud of myself for not giving in. I have earned this victory. I've worked hard for this win. Everything comes to the light. Exactly right. He's still sitting there. Have a good day. Justice and the Two of Swords and the Six of Swords. Be at peace. Because everything will be working out for the highest good. Justice will be coming in and it will be served in this situation. Definitely. You're moving away from the darkness and into the light. And as you do, you are gaining more peace and clarity. The decisions that you will be making will be made from a place of peace, from a place of contentment, instead of a place of worry and despair and hurt and pain. And in making decisions from a place of peace, those decisions will be much better decisions. Maybe he needs a reading. I like that. So definitely, you are moving away from this worldview that everything in the world is evil and dark and awful and disgusting, and you're starting to see all the beauty around you every day. You're starting to live in it more. You're starting to be at peace with the way that things are, and you're starting to allow your faith to take over. and run things instead of the worry, the fear, and the despair. And as you do that, things are going to be balanced out for you in your life and the lives of others around you. Now he's got his lights on for some stupid reason. I don't know who he's pulling over since he's sitting in one spot. Oyster, the bear, and the starfish. So you may be looking at things from too shallow of a view in a lot of ways, and you're going to be expanding those views to something more complete that encompasses everything. It may be time to really take some time away from people right at this moment to be able to gain that clarity and that peace. And that could be why this tower had to happen, why things had to happen the way that they did, so that you could get away from that energy and everyone else and just have some time and space for you so that you can find your peace and your clarity again, and so that you can make the best decisions possible for yourself and for others from a place of peace. You have been through so much, and you are worried about the things that others are going through around you. But because of everything that you have been through, the grains of salt on an oyster's body basically creates that pearl, and it creates it through pain. It creates it through hardship. It creates it through irritation, aggravation. It slowly, painfully creates this beautiful pearl. And this beautiful pearl is something that you would not have without everything that you went through. And granted, it sucks having to go through those things. But beautiful pearls can't just be made with nothing happening. So taking this time and space and peace for yourself is going to allow you to see how fucking amazing you are, even with everything that you have gone through. And it's going to make you feel less upset and hurt about the things that others have to go through. As an empath, it can be really hard to separate those things and detach yourself from it. But everyone has their own story that they have to go through, and everyone has their own path and journey in life. And it does suck when there's nobody there to save you, but sometimes that's how you learn how to save yourself. Everything definitely does look different when you come out that other side, for sure. Diamonds are made under pressure, exactly. Pressure, time, patience. It's not something that happens overnight. It's something that happens because of all the external factors that go into making it and creating it. And all of the darkness, evil, despair, hurt, and pain that you have been through throughout your life has created this fucking amazingly beautiful diamond that you are. So be proud of it, love it, accept it, be grateful for those things that you went through, even if they sucked, even if you would never want them to happen again. Grateful for those things, because you wouldn't be you. You wouldn't even want to help your niece if it wasn't for what you went through. You wouldn't even see it. You wouldn't even know what she's going through. If it wasn't for people who had been through things, the world never would have changed. If it wasn't for, say, African American people that were lynched, there wouldn't be freedom for African American people. If it wasn't for women who had been raped and abused for centuries, it wouldn't be a thing today to stand against that. If it wasn't for the abuse of children for so many years, nobody would give a shit about the abuse of children. Big time irritation. Definitely. Nighttime lover, daytime ghost. That's an odd time for that to come out, but somebody could be dealing with this. My heart beats faster, but you only come at night. I know it's a disaster I try so hard to fight. You keep me so distant, but you make me melt in an instant. Why can't you just be real and show what you feel? Why must you drink to reveal what you think? When morning comes, I'm alone. You return to your zone. Until you figure out what you want, only in your thoughts I will haunt. No more chasing for this girl, let your love unfurl. Exactly. And that's where we come from. The most beautiful, bright, shining lights in this world come from the darkest most despairing, awful places you could imagine. Everybody's like, oh, that person must have had it so easy because they're this beautiful light in this world. No, that person had it fucking dramatically hard. Probably 10 times harder than this person dying in alcohol over here. Sometimes. It depends on the person. Some people choose to just do that instead. What this is actually making me zone in on was your sister's an alcoholic. So in order to feel like she can be herself, she feels like she needs to drown herself in alcohol, because then she has an excuse for being the disgusting person that she sees herself as. All of those things that she sees that are bad about her, she can just blame on the alcohol. Oh, it was the alcohol that made me do it. No, that was in you. And that was in you because it was put in you. That was in you because that's what you were taught. That's what you learned. This is who you learned how to be. You can unlearn how to be it, or you can fall into misery and despair and, oh, things are never going to change, and you can try to cover it and sweep it under the rug and all kinds of other shit. But this is who you are, and accepting who you are and loving yourself is a big part of being able to heal. You can't heal without it. A healer's work. A healer's work is never through, always on to something new. In places some would say are scary, in a healer swoops like a fairy. In faith we gather in the most desolate of places, surrounded by dirty, despairing, downcast faces. As we move, light flows through. Faces turn happy from far too blue. Positivity, love, and light. From your being, all take flight. Amazing to think of human beings. Some of these words are missing, but this is on my other channel if you want to hear the rest of this poem. Amazing to think of human beings as a balm, as a healing balm. So, some people will tell you to be scared of being in the places that you need to be, or doing the things that you need to do. Some people will tell you that people are not worth saving. They will tell you that people never change. They will tell you that you should be afraid. They will tell you that these people are not worth your time or your energy or whatever the case may be. Whatever your intuition tells you, whatever your path and your purpose tells you, whatever your divine beings tell you as you pray to them. Listen to that over the voices of the human world. And that's because the human world, a lot of times, will walk away from things that are too hard. Exactly. And you know what? You don't have to be around somebody to bring that healing either. Energy is energy, and energy can flow wherever you want it to flow. If you're putting your time, energy, and effort on she's in such a bad place and everything's horrible and everything's awful and she's going to end up hurt, that's where your energy is going. If you're putting your energy on she is healing, she's learning to love herself, she is going to break free of this cycle, she is going to learn how to stand her ground and to move away from this energy, she is going to be safe. She knows that she's loved. I love her and I'm sending my love to her. All of those things are going to help so much more than worrying about it. Thank you, beautiful. So this is literally a big mess. Exactly. And that's where that detachment comes in. You can love somebody from afar. You don't have to be around them to love them. So this is just practice. Practice. And there's a lot of mistakes and mess ups and a lot of, things that just are not that great on here. And sometimes we can be worried about showing those things to the outside world. But showing those things to the outside world gives other people the ability to do the same. To no longer feel ashamed of who they are and what they got going on. And all the mistakes or all of the imperfect things about themselves, all of the unique things about themselves, that really do make them more amazing, but a lot of people are so busy worried that those things make them less amazing. Exactly. I agree with that. And you know what? I was one of the ones that stayed. I also have known people that left. Sometimes it's worse. Sometimes it's worse if they leave. I knew somebody that left at 13 years old, and they spent their time on the streets selling themselves at 13 years old. Granted, they were being abused sexually in their home. So it was kind of similar. But they were living on a street now with no one to help them, no one to care, probably not eating half the time, in the cold or in the heat. And you know, that's that fear that holds people back from leaving. A lot of times when you grow up in a household with narcissistic abuse or anything, any kind of emotional or mental abuse, even if it's not narcissistic, you feel like you could never survive on your own. You feel like it would be so much worse to walk out that door, and you don't walk out that door. Sometimes it's worse when you do, sometimes it's better when you do. But it really could go either way, which is also why it's so important that you make sure that you have a good, stable, solid place that's comfortable and they feel safe and like they could go there, because it gives them an out. Time for an ego death and a new beginning. Recognize not only where others went wrong, but also where you did as well. Make your apologies with no expectations. As in, I actually apologized to somebody at one point, like 6 months after I had talked to them. I just messaged them and I was like, you know what? I'm really sorry for whatever happened between us and whatever bullshit was going on there. I don't even know what happened. I'm sorry for whatever happened between us. And I just felt like I should say that. And they apologized as well. But it had nothing to do with that person. It had nothing to do, it had to do with me. In order for me to let go, I had to be able to apologize and I had to let it go. I had to do what I felt was right as a person and not expect them to, not force them to, not to even care whether or not they did. I just needed to do what I needed to do for me. That is kind of weird, the neighbor psychic connection thing, but cool at the same time in ways. It is. The abuse and undermining of your confidence is something that really definitely hurts. But then again, having to fight to get it back makes you so fucking strong. It's amazing how strong you become because of it. And outside support definitely is very helpful, but it's not everything. You can find it anywhere though, I will say that. But if you have no support, you still have to be able to keep going. There was a long time where I had absolutely no support at all. And I still had to keep going every day. And I still had to keep on my shit. I've had so many times where I could have fallen into meth, or I could have fallen into drinking all day, every day, or whatever other thing there was around me because of the hopelessness, the despair, the hurt, the pain, the lack of support, everything like that. And if I would have fallen into that and believed that I needed that support, then it would have changed everything. But I just told myself that I was not alone, no matter how alone I seemed to be, and that what I was working on was important, so I needed to continue working on it regardless of what was going on outside myself. I am so happy that you broke free of that and that you're doing all those things now. There's definitely, there was a Law & Order SVU episode where there was a disabled girl and her grandmother, oh, it's so hard to take care of her, so hard to take care of her, but she isn't teaching her anything to take care of herself because she doesn't think that she can. She did love her. In this particular case, she loved her very much. But she was keeping her codependent on her. It wasn't an intentional thing, but it was more of she didn't think that she could do it on her own, and so she created that. But this girl could do it on her own if she was allowed to learn how. And sometimes they just really don't want to let that excuse go either. So if you want to change the world, you have to start with you. The Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson, or Mirrors by Lil Wayne. Don't forget, some of them have apologies to make too. But it's time to be the first one to drop the grudge. Throw the game to get the win. That's another poem that's on my other channel as well. Sometimes pride can really get in our way. I'm definitely glad that we could be here to do that. That is why I have never given up on any of this, is because I know the impact that can be made through fulfilling your purpose and focusing on that and not allowing the outside distractions to get in the way, because sometimes there's a bigger picture to look at. Monster at Home. So this is actually one that I sang. I don't know if I'm going to say, I'm kind of sick this morning, but I think I might just say it. Every time you came, I was to blame. Felt so dirty, couldn't even be flirty, 'cause I was to blame every time you came. Brushed my hair and washed it in the bath. No one to care, you do the math. You came in like you were the saving grace. Well, take a hike and get out of my face. It wasn't my fault, but in the wound you poured salt. You told them all, couldn't turn away from that doll, a seductress child. With me the blame was filed. A grown-ass man, from the guilt he ran, got them all to believe he knew how to deceive. But it was always you, through and through. You are to blame, and that's the end of this game. So, they will always try to blame you. It's up to you whether or not you want to take that blame. Whether or not you want to bury yourself in that guilt, that hurt, that pain, that shame. About 7 years ago, my younger brother was talking to me, and we really hadn't discussed my abuse at all, or the abuse of my younger sister. And he was crying because I should have protected you. I was your brother. I should have done something. And I was like, you didn't even know what was going on, Robert. I should have known. I should have known what was going on. You could see it. Looking back on it, you can see it. Yeah, looking back on it. But you didn't know then. And there was nothing that you could have done. You were a child too. We were children. What were we supposed to do? And I was like, do you know how long it took me to stop blaming myself for my younger sister getting abused too? Because I didn't say anything when it was happening to me. But I didn't say anything because we were living in a better house. We had better clothes. We had food on the table every day at dinner time. We went to bed on time. We went to school on time. They had people helping them with their school. Everything seemed so much better for everyone else. And why would I ruin that for me? Because I wasn't important enough to ruin that for. I wasn't important enough to love and to care for and to do something to stand up for. But I learned why you have to do something to stand up for you. Because if you don't stand up for you, then other people get hurt too. But at the same time, it was not his fault that we were hurt. It was the fault of the man who chose to take that action. It was none of our fault. It can definitely be very suffocating. Very suffocating. It's time to give to you a little bit. Expecting all of your care to come from outside of you is fairly codependent. Ever wonder why you end up in a relationship that is codependent and toxic? Look in the mirror, because you might be. You might be codependent yourself. Is it narcissism that you see in your partners, or is it yourself? Because it can look very much like narcissism. Doing so much to care for everyone else and expecting another to care for you and every part of you can be seen as selfish or narcissistic, especially if your partner isn't one that you place on a priority list, but you expect them to do so for you. Although I feel like most here give far too much to a partner, resulting in far too high of expectations, that's still codependency. If you loved you, then you wouldn't be looking for external validation, and you would know what you expect from others, and so would they. Anything not up to par would fall away in knowing that something better was there for you. or would come along, instead of dreading that it never would be or will be and worrying about whether or not you're alone. So that's a lot of what people have to get over when they're coming out of those situations as well. They have to really be able to pull themselves out of the codependency. And he probably felt like you abandoned him and left him there to the hands of a monster. But at the same time, you were busy trying to save yourself. And if it wasn't for you, maybe he never would have learned how to save himself. Although he probably felt much more guilty about having to save himself because of how much blame he put on you too. So he's got a lot to work through on that front as well. Invisible. I'm never heard no matter how loud. Why are others always so proud? I speak, I scream, I fight to be heard, but no one ever hears a word. I fight so hard to be seen, invisibility is my scene. I fade to the back, always in lack. It's time to embrace myself, it's time to free myself from that shelf. Long lost pain, it's time to go. What I reap, I will sow. I change the views I have of me. That's all it takes to set me free. And when you're feeling extremely invisible and you're constantly looking for anyone to hear you, everyone to hear you, that's looking for that validation. That's seeking that validation. When you're speaking just to speak for you and to express yourself and to be you, then you're not worried about whether or not anybody else hears you or what's going on in that way. Yes, it is. It is okay to want reciprocity from those that you love because it creates a balance. But you're not going to get it from people a lot of times. Being able to walk away from that when you're not getting it is a must, because that's where the codependency comes into play. I agree, although that environment can trigger you into healing. So sometimes you will continue to come in contact with that environment until you do heal. Because that's the only way you can heal, is by repeating it. So you can't heal in that environment, but that environment is the only reason that you find healing. Don't be afraid of being seen. Hiding won't save you. In fact, it could be even more dangerous. So a lot of times people are like, oh, I was sexually abused, so I'm going to cover myself from head to toe, and I'm going to shy away, and I'm going to hide in the corner, and I'm not going to be around anybody because of the abuse I went through, and I don't want it happening again. Predators know what prey looks like, and some are looking for more advanced prey, so it's not always those ones. But when it comes down to it, they're looking for the quiet one in the corner who's not seen or heard by anybody, because then they're not going to get caught. And you're also probably not going to put up much of a fight either. Hiding yourself away does not save you from the abuse of the world. And in fact, sometimes it can make it so much worse. Obstacles present themselves. Know that you can overcome. Your commitment to your true path is being tested right now. Sometimes the going gets tough. Remember in those moments that the tough get going. You are tough enough. So, obstacles will be presenting themselves, and it will be a test of your commitment to the bigger picture. To not getting so lost and focused on all these small little details and distractions that it throws you off your path and your purpose and what you're supposed to be doing and creating in this world. That is definitely something that would be amazing. I'm sure that you would touch far more lives than you think you will. You should definitely do something like that. I feel so alone in this world. I don't know what to do or where to turn. My whole life was stolen from me, and everyone was turned against me. I'm not sure how to start from here or who I can trust. All it takes is one step. All it takes is that leap. And if you're not sure who you can trust, then you start making connections and you start to learn discernment from those connections. Make sure that you are slowly building things up and not just giving everything away all up front, because sometimes that can also cause problems. Study is needed. In order to continue to expand the mind, you need to keep it going. Learning never truly stops, at least not if it isn't blocked by thinking that you know it all. Ego can get in the way with your talents and your brains. Don't let it. So, anything that you want to learn, any way of handling things differently, anything that you want to know about, you can really go explore those things. You can learn those things. There's so many people in this world that put that information out there for you now. There are so many free resources when it comes to anything that you want to learn. I never did go to school for psychology, but I studied psychology for the last 20 years about. And you can learn anything you want, whether you have the money or not, whether you have the resources or not. All it takes is the drive and the motivation to want to do it. I feel the same way. Definitely glad that she's in a better environment now. So, last message, and then we're going to call it good for today. Focus your intentions towards faith and trust in the plan and in everything that is unfolding for you, because it's all unfolding for the highest good in the end. It's the bigger picture. Remember to live in and enjoy every moment. The universe works faster when you are having fun and appreciating everything as it is. Honor the feelings that you have within your heart. Recognize and accept them, allowing yourself to feel. Know that obstacles are always detours in the right direction. Everything you go through adds to the person that you are and allows a chance for growth. Look back on 3 years ago. Where were you then and where are you now? Remember that happiness is your birthright and it is found within yourself, not in anything external from you. Sometimes being humbled is required to be able to find your happiness. All roads lead somewhere. Remember that you have a choice in which one you take. And if you're refusing to find that happiness inside yourself, the universe may throw so much shit on your back for so fucking long, and you're trying to figure out why you're being punished or why all these nasty negative things are happening. They're happening for your highest good so that you can find that happiness inside of you and not rely on outside sources for it, because that happiness is within you and not anything outside of you. Taking some time to just write and journal may be very beneficial for you as well, because it'll help you to be able to get all those things out that you need to get out. And once you get all those things out that you need to get out, continue to write, because when you're writing from that peaceful state, you might notice that there's a lot more messages that are more beneficial to you and your life from that peaceful state. So thank you guys all for being here. I really appreciate you, and I hope you guys enjoyed this reading today. If anybody wanted to be able to support the channel through liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, or doing the same on my other channel, hitting the super thanks button or leaving a donation, all those things are so appreciated, and you can find the links for everything in my description box below. You're welcome, and thank you too. And I hope you guys have a beautiful night or day, whatever it is, wherever you are when you're watching. Bye-bye, guys. You're welcome, Margaret, and thank you as well.